Next are Derek Mejia, the subject's action figures. K100 crew have been an action figure collector since I was a child. I have a few old
Just Jeff
Conan.
Layton. Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
I have a few old Conan, three of them, one disco from WCW, and now I have the new Conan ordered. I was wondering what are the chances of getting new figures that scale match the elites from WWE. It'd be pretty cool to get a disco and K Dog elite. Thank you from the GOM, whatever that
Yeah.
means.
Well,
Uh,
GOM, I have no clue what you're talking about. What is he asking, Joe? Do you
don't you have
know?
action figures coming out or something like
Yeah, but
that?
he's saying something about an elite figure. What's that?
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
It's just a really detailed, and they put out specific ones. Like, here's an elite figure. It's Ultimate Warrior SummerSlam '92. It's Rock versus Hogan in their exact gear, and it's very detailed, and it's for collectors, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know where that would be. Yeah,
But you got a bendy coming out through Matt Cardona's company and Mike
like the
Durbin, right?
bend you. Yeah,
Which way?
Okay. Next is
anywhere
from
you want to
Vanilla.
go.
Next is from Vanilla Isis, and the subject is anonymous
I
4chan
like that
Q&A.
name.
Anonymous 4chan Q&A from 2022, Chris Jericho related. Peace, gentlemen. Hope 2024 is starting off as well. Starting off well. Back in 2022, an anonymous wrestler claimed to be connected somehow to NXT, AW, and Ring of Honor. Went on a 4chan under the name Frogger and conducted an Ask Me Anything session. Here are the links to the archive threads. Um, I,
It's a lot.
Okay, I don't. Yeah, forget it. Here's
I scrolled it when I saw the email. I never heard of this when it happened, but the things that he describes, this guy describing Samoa Joe's release.
Okay, let me finish the email. Let me finish the email there.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's interesting that a few things from the Q&A session turned out to be breaking news. Most notably, Samoa Joe being released from WWE. Lots of trivial private information leaked throughout the threads turned out to be true as well. I.e., Kenny Omega was in a relationship with Sheeta at the time she was signed by AEW. The reason I'm mentioning this is because the alleged situation between Kylie Ray and Chris Jericho was referenced a few times throughout the thread. Basically, what is being reported now was mentioned throughout the threads. Again, this is back in 2022. You heard about these threads, and if so, do you think the person was really connected to NXT, AEW, Ring of Honor? The person leaked a lot of private information that wasn't known at the time. Thanks for all your hard work in Vanilla Isis. I'm going to go at work tonight. I'm going to go over these threads, and we're going to circle back.
Yeah,
this because I can't comment on anything I haven't read. So
you see how there's two links?
Yes.
Click on the second one. It's way easier to read.
Okay, so we're going to circle back to this one. But I will say, I'm just going to make a reveal. Okay, that was me, and the Frogger was referring to my Kermit the Frog character that people have referenced on the show. What do you think about me outing myself as Frogger in Reddit?
It's about time. About time.
As I was scrolling, someone says, "Hey Frogger, what do you think about the Kermit guy on Reddit?" I don't know what that is. It's probably some other leaker. And Frogger goes, "Kermit, he's stealing my gimmick." And I went, "Is that Di slyly telling us?" Because people say the Kermit the Frog thing. Maybe it was Di.
So the distorted noise, and the subject is disco was proven right again. On a long enough timeline, Disco is almost always right in hindsight when it comes to criticism of modern wrestling, despite all the seething hatred and backlash he receives from the IWC when he initially makes said statements. This seems to be a recurring and very noticeable pattern for as long as I've been following K100. Disco will sometimes make harsh but true criticisms, which initially vilify him in the community, only for enough time to pass for him to be eventually proven right. Yet he's never fully forgiven by the same mindless internet mob who condemned him in the first place. The latest example of this phenomenon happened just recently. If you recall, Disco replied to a Tony Khan tweet saying the AEW shows need a reset. Tony, of course, sidestepped Disco's comment, decided instead to take a cheap shot at him, which predictably riled up the IWC. Anyways, fast forward to recently, and Jim Ross had the following to say on episode 247 of his Grilling JR podcast. Quote, "It's interesting. It seems like AEW is kind of resetting the table, restarting, so to speak, maybe, and I think that's smart. I think that's a good deal. Give everybody a different jersey and give everybody a different role. Let's just hope they all live up to the hype and role, and it seems like we are. It's exciting to be a part of it, and I'm happy to be part of it," Ross said. My question is, how did wrestling fan culture get to this point? Why are wrestling veterans who put the time in and have worked for several different company roles considered out of touch and largely brushed aside by the fans? But the same people lap up the opinions of marked podcasters and our dirt sheet guys who have never taken a bump or been directly in the business. I must be in the minority because the whole dynamic has always seemed super backwards to me. Sidebar. Someone clever should come up with a term for disco prophecies coming true. Thanks for the endless entertainment. Joe, come up with a term for that. My prophecies becoming true. Coming true. I'm going to make a point. I think it's evidently true. I think that this wrestling community and fan base, I think they're out of touch. I don't think I'm out of touch at all. I don't think Conan's. I don't think we're out of touch. I think we still see things that can be done in professional wrestling that would engage more fans. But these people are so out of touch with the fan base that's still out there that exists, that would watch a show if they were putting on different content, that they continue to basically ignore that fan base. And I think that makes them out of touch to how to draw a wrestling crowd. I can still draw a wrestling crowd. When I went back in Impact Wrestling, Joe, when I went to the ECW arena, who's had the most heat in the ECW arena from in your history of all the shows you've been there? How high up? Where'd I rank?
Post ECW days. Anything else that's been there? You?
So think about that.
Jeff Jarrett with TNA, okay. and Road Dogg that night too. Yeah.
So think about this. People think I'm out of touch. But literally, years and years later, when I've had the opportunity to perform, I performed at a higher level than all this community that thinks that I'm out of touch. So it's like, I'm obviously not out of touch, because I keep we keep talking about things on this show. Me and Conan is like, bro, a lot of the stuff that we say ends up coming true. There's something about like the thing that the wrestling community, this wrestling community, that ever since the wrestlers like these new cats have kind of fed into I think like the guys like me and Conan that grew up being trained in an old school culture, okay? And that these new cats in professional wrestling have kind of been like from the smart mark community, not really ingrained in the old school culture of professional wrestling and kayfabe and the basic principles that they grew up like this new style of, match quality is so important, different thing. It's created like two completely different, like it's a polarizing view of professional wrestling, the old school versus the new school. And I would profess that the new school is the ones that are out of touch, not the old school guys, because a lot of the new school cats look at guys like us, like the old school people that came from the culture that the history of professional wrestling that the principles are built on. They don't really look at us like we know what we're talking about. And I think that kind of makes these guys out of touch. Because I wouldn't you see like a lot of these new, like in the NFL players, okay? A guy like Juju Smith-Schuster, right? Bro, what was the guy doing? He comes in the league, he's doing TikTok videos, he's dancing around and everything. And like, where's the guy now? It's like 3-4 years later, he's kind of just like persona non grata. Like he's like a flash in the pan, but when he was doing, he was popular. But the old school cats were sitting doing out here, dudes. Like you're here to play football, not dance around and stuff and all that. And look at where the guy is. What do you think about that, Coda? The example I just talked about.
Well, I think out of everything you said, you're out of touch. That
would
be the first thing I would say. And I just think, bro, like, what this guy's talking about, like they don't want to listen to older cats. I think a lot of young people think because you're older, you're not as lucid or in tune to what's happening. And that's quite the opposite. Everybody isn't the same. Some are more in tune than others. But what's baffling to me is the guys that actually did it, you don't want to listen to them, but you'll listen to marks just because they're your age, right. And they don't know what's going on. And I've always said it, one of life's biggest tragedies, we get old too soon and wise too late, And the good thing about getting older, bro, is like it allows you to be the person that you've always wanted to be. By that I mean this: when you're younger, you're always trying to like front and show off and have this facade, and then when you get older, you're more comfortable with yourself and you can really be yourself.
Do you consider yourself out of touch?
Yes.
Okay, I do too. Right.
Yes.
I just think that no matter what, no matter how many shows you've been to or how much you've watched, or even if you went back, and I've watched every show since '76, and stuff like that. If you haven't been in the ring, in the back, or in a booking meeting or creative, then you can't understand as much as guys like Conan and Disco. And that's everyone's going to go, but it's just the truth. I know that as a fan and have being around a little tiny bit how much I don't know, you know?
Right. You could look at all these Mark podcasters, and if you like a perfect example, this guy said there's like a lot of things that I say that I get vilified for. Then we go back in time and look. It's like, yeah, Disco was right. The exact opposite is like true for the Mark podcaster stuff. They're literally like saying like how many times have these people said this guy's going to be a star, this girl's going to be, this is the next star, you know, all this stuff and everything. Like, you know, they're literally their whole shtick could be summed up as like things I wish I could take back. Is about the best way you describe things they say on a weekly basis on these shows. You know what I'm saying? So
my favorite thing I ever got wrong, DI, was I was watching pretty regularly back then. It wasn't that long ago. And Adam Rose was coming up from NXT, and he came out dancing with the whole parade of freaks behind him. Right. I swore that would be huge, and the whole crowd would dance and love it. And dude, it lasted like 2 weeks. I was like, "Ooh, yeah, wasn't right there."
But me and Conan, when we were watching that and everything, I was saying like, dude, these people aren't acting like partiers; they're acting like idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not, like, you know, there's no cool or right there. No. Yeah, they're just out to go, like, you know, like nobody goes in parties like that. Like you go to party, you like in a club. If you want to do the club thing, bro, you got people like chill, like when they did the vignette with Escobar and the two cats when they'd be sitting in the lounge like having a drink. That's how you produce like a clubber. You know, people chilling, you know, with cocktails.
No, well, let me tell. I'm going to give you a better example.
Go ahead.
I got to give you a better example of a clubber. What are those two girls named? Kaden and Cassandra.
Right.
What are they?
Kaden. Yeah, I don't even know what their names are, right? Yeah.
And when they brought Damian Priest into NXT, they portrayed him as like a club guy.
That was cool. That was
in a hot tub with champagne with girls.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, right. That's how you do it.
That's what clubbing is today. Not acting like a dork. Like,
right. We even jumping around.
Right. Like Oscar used to act. Remember?
Right. You know what it was like? It was like you dressed up, like you told all the dirt sheet guys, "Hey, dress up and you go out and be part of Adam Rose's group. You're a party gang." And that's how they would act, right? Okay, this is from the Human Shield. This is the last
hilarious.
Right.